take time I do have and share with you something that's very, very important. Okay? So first what I want to ask is a question. That question is this. What does January mean to you?
Cold.
New beginning.
New beginning. What else does it mean?
Cold.
Okay, cold.
The beginning of light.
The beginning of light. Opportunity to build wealth. Someone asked me before, why do I feel that, couldn't it be any other time? Does it have to be January? Does it have to be, could you just make it November, December to start your New Year? My actual contention is this. Have you ever walked into a room and you could just feel like tension in the air? Hence the phrase, so thick you cut it with a knife? There's something that's been proven to be true, which is a collective consciousness. And when a group of people in a particular area, hence the phrase, a product of your environment, begin to think a certain way, they begin to do a certain thing and act a certain way. So therefore, when people begin to collectively agree that this is a new time to build wealth, a new time for new beginnings, a new time for light, a time for cold, or a new time, hence, that seems to be a type of energy that's in turn created. It's easier to talk with someone who's looking to build wealth if you already have agreed that this is the time to build wealth. Would you not agree? So, although you could do this at any other particular point in time, I find it much easier when everybody's on the same page. With that being said, I want to also let you know this too. I'm going to give away something at the end of our meeting today for free. But it does have a value. Now this is the value that it has. It has the same value that I myself pay. Now, not only being a speaker, I also do coaching and business coaching with CEOs and individuals one-on-one. My usual rate is $250 per hour, or I do them in groupies that come in groups, say $1,500 or $3,000, depending upon what it is that I'm offering. Okay? But what I found is that there are certain things that help one become successful. And there are certain things that makes one, like I said, to fail much greater, substantially greater. And a lot of the things I found that help those succeed are found right in here. In this book right here. And this is a book that I myself am using. Anyone heard of Zig Ziglar?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. That's awesome. Maybe you can say that. Zig Ziglar has created this book to help you understand and build your New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals. I myself have the book and I'm using it, and I'm going to give this book away to someone. No. I'm not going to do this. You got to do something first, okay? So, usually it goes like that, and then you take it, so don't rush me, okay? But, he was, I noticed that. That was kind of nervous. He was reaching out for me. I was like, oh, what's going on? Security? So, not only am I going to give this book away, I'm also going to give away 1 hour in which I want to talk with you, understand what are your goals, share with you some of my goals, and help you create a plan or a map, a strategy to success. Would you think that has some kind of value right there? Okay, now the only thing you have to do, how I'm going to determine this, and Charles is going to help me out, is by the end of this meeting, we look on Facebook. Post, this is my title, this is my name. Post anything you want on Facebook. I'm here meeting with Kenny, I'm at an event, whatever it is, okay? Now whoever posts the most, or whoever gets the most likes, is the one who I'm going to give away this book, as well as an hour after you've looked at the book, so that way we can talk about the book together. I want to share with you, I've learned a lot. One thing I've learned, and me setting such a time to do this book right here, I've learned that the goals I had set for myself were too small. It didn't make me feel as uncomfortable. So I had to go back and redo the goals I had set before. And now the goals I got right now, they make me feel real uncomfortable. I mean, they make me feel real, they keep me up at night.
Well, how many billions now?
Oh, exactly. She remember from that meeting that we had some years ago, and we've been keeping each other in check as far as achieving our goals. So I always look forward to seeing you at the meetings and sharing our experiences. But yes, she is correct with the number of billions and creating a map and a plan and strategy to get there. And that's what this is all about right here. So, was the name of the book? Yeah, it's a book he has on goals and achievement. I'm actually good. It's called The Pick Four. And basically, this was Zig Ziglar's legendary goal setting program, The Pick Four. And he goes through how to set your goals, how to map your goals out, how to achieve your goals. And what I do is I have a mastermind that I work with, and we share our goals together. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to share with you some things that are going to be very pertinent as far as helping us with investing, take advantage of the energy that we have going on now, take advantage of things to help us to become more successful. Only thing I ask if I'm going to spend an hour of my time with you to talk to you about this, and I love what I do so much, very rarely is it ever just an hour. Even when I'm contractually agreeing to work with someone, I don't just stop when it's over, because I love what I do, and I'm looking to find other people to work with. So that's the primary purpose. But all I ask of you is show me how much you value my time, how much you, because I tell you what, I never really understood how valuable time is. I mean, time is so valuable. It's true, I would rather you steal my money, 'cause I can get that back. But if you waste my time, woo, boy, you're going in a little list, a notebook. Matter of fact, I'm actually taking people's numbers and wrote down those answers, where their names are, so when it rings, I don't get tricked. I'm just being honest. This is the real deal, so we just put it out there, right there. All of the time, we have to tell ourselves, some individuals value their time at $8 an hour, $10 an hour, or others value it at $1,000 an hour, or $10,000 an hour. And who determines how valuable is your time? You do. Once again? You do. Exactly. You do. Hence the example that I love very often. And that is you have two people you're going outside and it's raining. One person yells at the sky, stop raining. Another person pulls out the umbrella. Who will not get wet? Umbrella. Why? Because that person did what? Took action. At the end of the day, you have to take action. Now what I want to also do is ask this question, man. We got two people, okay? Two people. One person is going grocery shopping with a list. The other person is going grocery shopping without a list. Okay? Now, who has a higher chance of getting everything they need at home? One more time? Why is that? Won't get sidetracked. Set the goal.
Because I wrote down things as I ran out of time.
You wrote down things as you ran out of them. Yes.
I think that the person without the list, to a large extent, will have a much more enjoyable experience in the time.
Okay, this is a free country. You're all entitled to. What I was saying that the majority is willing to experience. And I'm glad I don't have to count on my meals coming from that time. But what I will say that when you're going out grocery shopping, the person who has the list has 9 times out of 10 a greater chance of getting everything that they're looking for. Just as if it's better to go grocery shopping when you're not hungry. Right? So, if it's a better chance of you getting everything you're looking for when you go grocery shopping with a list, why do many not write down a list of goals for the new year? Do we see the correlation here? How can you expect to get at the end of the year what you're looking for if you don't have a list? Can you not get sidetracked? Can you not walk down the aisles of things that you're looking for and all of a sudden something pops up? And guess what? When you sidetrack, no one tells you you're sidetracked. How do you find out that you're sidetracked? Oh my Lord. And once you wasted your time, and that's even worse than wasting your money. Once you wasted your time, then you say, hold on now, something is wrong. You completely forgot that you're sidetracked. Now let me ask you another question. When you have this list, okay, and you're going grocery shopping, do you just write the list and leave it in your car? What do you do with it? And when you're in the store, do you look at the list? Oh, okay. How often do you look at the list? Until it's finished. So then, yes?
You welcome to the debate? Or,
No, I do, but I'm going through a certain path.
Could I make an observation? I mean, I think it's fascinating, but like when I shop, I have a principle that I want the stuff that's the best bargain.
Mm-hmm.
And so in about the year, I have a vision, and then I deduce the things based on the vision. But I guess you're going to get to that because I mean, just the list implies they're all sort of this long list of things.
Right. There's always, as I go through this, there's always exceptions to any rule, and very few things we talk about every hard and fast. And we'll talk about that right there also. But going on a certain path, because a lot of times to achieve a certain understanding, it has to be a certain path. Like when we take math, you never just say, you do this is the answer, and walk away. In order to get it, a good instructor or teacher will guide you through a particular path so that you'll be able to understand it for yourself. It's one thing for me to share with you what I've experienced and what those who have mentored me and I work with have experienced. There's another thing for me to say, this is how we came to these conclusions. And then once you get them, you're able to ascertain them for yourself because they're yours. So I do welcome debate, always. I mean, what would we be without it? We say the world is flat, it doesn't rotate, we say all sorts of things. But my point is this, as you're going through, you take the list with you, correct? You keep the list with you so that, because we know, even in my home, I forget about something, it gets written down on the list. Throughout the whole week, there's certain things that you make mention that you need and you write it down. Then when you go shopping, you have that list with you. Because while you're out there, their marketing spends thousands of dollars to get your attention. You can't fight them because they've trained and studied with psychologists on how to gain your attention when you're walking through the aisle. That's the reason why when you go to gamble, there's no windows in there. That's the reason why they play a certain music. That's the reason why the floor looks a certain way. That's the reason why the lights are a certain way. That's the reason why there's no clock. People, whenever you're spending money, there has been a lot of money spent to influence your decision. So at the very least, you have to walk in with a plan. Otherwise, you will spend your money to the highest bidder. So as you go through life, as you go through your year, you have to have that list with you as well. That list that you wrote, that you have to plan your future, to plan what you want, that list has to be with you. Just as a shopping list has to be with you. You cannot write many investors, and I've worked with well over 1,000 investors. Charles can testify this way. Well over 1,000. And the ones who I've seen that have been the most successful have a list that they keep with them all the time. They don't forget it. Even in June or July or August, that list is still with them. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
And it also can give you a reminder as well. Would you not agree? The reminder is good. That's how we made 2012 better than 2011. So now where do all these thoughts begin? Where do all these thoughts originate? Where at? Exactly. But this right here is something I want to share with you that I found very intriguing, that many that I found myself in sharing that I've learned. How many different parts do we think there are to the brain? well, three parts of the brain, okay? There's the outer part of the brain, the newer part is called the new brain. And I'm going to just use generic terms so we can get an understanding of really. Called the new brain. There's another part of the brain a little bit deeper, that's called the middle part of the brain. And then there's the part that they call the old part of the brain, which is the first part to develop directly attached to the spinal cord. This here is very crucial. What I'm about to share with you over the next 10 minutes is going to help you understand why we make certain decisions, okay? Now, our brain comprises of 2 to 3% of our body weight. And I weigh, we're not going to go there, but we'll just say 2 to 3% of our body weight, okay? Now, what part of the body do we think uses the most energy? The brain. The brain uses up 25% of the energy. So what your body wants to do is figure out how to conserve. Just for the matter of survival, you have to figure out how to conserve as much energy as possible. Now what part of the brain, now let me break it down too. We have the 3 parts of the brain. Do you know what part of the body uses the second most amount of energy? Your stomach. Now, this is the reason why it's not good to do things that require critical thinking after a heavy lunch. Because what part is going to take over? The stomach is like, hey, we're using a lot of energy, so we're pulling from the brain right now. So you know what? This is not the time to go through a lot of, at the Thanksgiving meal, there's no, well, you see the hypothesis. So that's just not a conversation you're going to want to have or hear at that particular point. It's actually going to fall asleep. Now, the top part of the brain deals largely with critical thinking, math, numbers, vocabulary, things that, which I call the new brain, deal with a lot of that type of analyzing, okay? The next layer of the brain deals with feelings. The oldest part of the brain, and the part that was the first developed, that part of the brain right there deals with fight or flight response. Actually, that part of the brain is the reason why we say yes or no to the things that we do today. When marketers are trying to get you to market for something or to buy something, that's the part of the brain that they activated. They use MRI to look at what part of the brain is being analyzed. When you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to do something, these are the parts of the brain that get lit up. Now, the reason why this is really important to understand, because once we understand how we think, then we'll know the reason why we do the things that we do. So that how we can become more successful by framing things around our environment. Now, one thing to also understand is that this holds true for all of us. There's only one difference between all the humans here, one difference in the brain, that is between the testosterone, between the male and female brain. That's the only difference, and that's communication. Now, this I found very interesting. How many sectors of the brain do you think are lit up when a female begins to talk or conversate? 9 sectors of the brain. How many sectors do you think, with that reference point, light up on average? Now, like I said, everything is, there are anomalies. How many sectors of the brain do you think light up or receive some type of stimuli, I mean, or MRI, when a male begins to communicate and talk?
Yes.
2.
Exactly, that's it, 2. 2, that is it. On average, the average woman communicates 80% more than the average male per day. That right there is the only difference in major communication. Yeah. It goes into a lot. There's books that you can look at on this here. One is The Female, which is pretty good, and Why Men Don't Listen and Why Women Don't Read Maps. all these things in these books are pretty good. These books, but basically what it goes into is understanding how we communicate, how we listen, how we talk, how we understand things. You follow me on this here? So basically, and it has even shown that a male fight or flight response can be triggered if you're talking to him too fast. He can start to feel that he's under attack because he's not processing all this information. Like, there's too much happening too fast. I don't know what you're saying. I feel I'm under attack. Fight or flight response can kick in. This has been shown. Now, this is not with all men, as I mentioned, this is the average. But bottom line, there are those three sectors, or three parts of the brain. Now, with these three parts of the brain, I'm going to show you how the part that I mentioned, the oldest part of the brain, the part that says yes, the part that does the analyzing, the part that is the reason why we do what we do. This is how this part of the brain kick in, okay? Now, you're on a long trip, you're on a long vacation, all right? You're driving, you're like, boy, I feel hungry. You're driving, you're not familiar with the town, you get off. You see two identical restaurants serving the same type of food that you so happen to love. One restaurant is packed. The other restaurant has tumbleweed. No one's in there. Which one are you going to go to for something to eat? The one that's packed. Why? Now, did you say, well, let me go ahead and pull up and do a Google search and read the reviews and figure out, let me go ahead and see what the cook is figuring. See, that's the top part of the brain, the thinking. But the part of the brain, you made a decision that quick based off of what?
Available information.
What's up?
Cars.
Based off the number of cars in the parking lot. There is something that psychologists have noted today, and what they have noticed is that at the end of the day, a lot of our decisions are based off of what they call social proof. You say, if they look like me and eat like me, then I can trust what they do. See, that thought right there, it didn't even take you a second to figure out which one to go to. That part of the brain, you looked, you saw, you observed, and you made a decision. A very calculated decision is what you made without even thinking about it. That thought process right there is what we go through every day. Matter of fact, Campbell's Soup has been changing their labels because when you're walking through the aisles, when you look, if all the soup looks the same, and you can't figure out which one is which, you get frustrated and you just walk away. And you look into whatever one that you can easily stand out to what you're looking for. If you got to stand there and try and figure out, that means you're using a different brain function that requires a lot of energy. And we got to conserve energy. What I'm sharing with you is, I'm building up to one of the reasons why a lot of our goals that we set for the New Year's don't stay. We have to figure out what are they satisfying. Now, understanding things such as social proof and the way things work along those lines right there. When you see this, and this is studies that have shown, when you see this video, what do you think of? McDonald's. Okay? Now, recently, McDonald's has shown over the last 2 to 3 years, they've had the best sales ever. Not the best sales and growth in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Best sales ever. Okay? Now, some have said it may have to do with this. What do you see in the bottom of this underneath McDonald's? In the bottom of the sign.
Over 10 billion served.
Over 10 billion served. That's what you see. Over 10 billion served. Right. Did it always say that?
No, just say hamburgers.
Yeah. But what does that say? Right now, we are living in what we consider to be economic uncertainty. Wouldn't we agree? Yeah. It is not that their food is any cheaper, because everyone has dollar value menus. What studies have found out is that when people are uncertain, they're not looking for the best alternative, they're looking for the safest alternative. And it means that, you know what, this food may not be the greatest, but chances are it won't kill me. I'm just saying, this is what goes into psychologically. Because remember when we went off the restaurant, we saw the two? That one sign underneath is the equivalent of having on the subconscious that how many billions of people have eaten this food and they're okay. As far as we know. Exactly. Now there's studies that show, what happens if you eat fast food over a period of time right here. But what I'm doing is I'm driving home a particular point. And the particular point is this right here. We look for things that are safe. We look for things in an uncertain time. We look for things that make us feel comfortable. I'm going to give you another example. Honda did very well, and they was blowing away the automobile industry in a time when there was economic uncertainty. And people were trying to sell their vehicles, and what were they saying? Other industries were saying, hey, we got the best deal, we got the best warranty. But what was Honda saying? Honda came up with a message and it said this: if you lose your job, we'll take your car back. What did that speak to? It spoke to fear. It spoke to the basic understanding of what we're looking for. Now, they recently talked with the Honda executive, and he said, you know how many cars he took back over a 2-year time frame? About 100. About 100. That has nothing to compare with the countless of millions and billions they made in sales. But what did they speak to?
Kenny, if you think about it, it was purely an ingenious method, because if you lose your job, you're going to not make your car payment. They're going to take your car back anyway.
Exactly.
So it was purely ingenious in the way they worded it, so that it made it seem as if it was a benefit to you, because
Right.
They're going to do that anyway.
Exactly. Right, and that's what makes this so great. It's just the way in which we frame it, because what happens is anything that makes us use less of our brain power. You don't have to think that out, which also makes sense. If you lose your job, you'll take it back anyway. If you're walking through a market, which takes more brain power? You remember everything that you had that you got to replace it with the list. And what are we going to do? We're going to do things that require less brain power. Like, what did we do when we saw 2 restaurants? We had to make a decision when we was hungry. We went over there. We are hardwired to do what is the most easiest thing to do. That's what we're hardwired. You have to make it simple. What Honda did, what they took as what was expressed, something that would do anyway, but just put it to you so you didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to pull that thought or idea out of the clouds. They told you, if you lose your job, we'll take your car back in a time of economic uncertainty and right off the showroom floor. Something like that. Yes. Exactly. Without fear, a way to keep it. So, all this here came up, what part of the brain is this right here is functioning on? What part? Is it what we talked about at the beginning? The part that's the trigger part. The part that just said the yes or no. The part that decides when you're going to make a move, a decision, or action. Now, when you're looking to begin investing, understanding that when people are uncertain, they are not looking for the best alternative, they're looking for the safest alternative. Easy way out, right? So when you go to talk to somebody about buying a home from them, you want to sell their home, you sell the home to them, what do you have to speak to? The fear, the part of that brain right there, because that's the part that's going to make a decision. At the end of the day, all the thinking and so forth right there is processing, but it doesn't make a yes or no decision. The yes or no decision, that's the most immediate one, takes part in the lower part of the brain. The one that says go. Now, that part of the brain that says go, it didn't even require you, it happened before you even thought about it, because we're hardwired to make certain actions. You don't even have to think about doing some of these things. You don't even have to think about making a decision for the restaurant. You don't even have to think about, hey, Honda said, you don't even know if you like Honda. You just know that, hey, it's on certain markets, and if I lose my job, they'll take it back. They erased, they spoke to my fear. So when you're marketing and you're investing, you have to speak to who's what. You have to speak to their fear. When you're setting new goals and you're looking to start things different in the new year, you have to speak to your what? You have to understand what it is that will make you switch your decision. What it is that will make you go from one strategy to the next strategy. Will your strategy that you're talking about, will that solve your fear? That's what you have to ask yourself. If your fear or your immediate need right now for investing happens to be something that will bring you money in the next 6 months, and it's a good strategy, but it brings you money in the next 6 months, but you need money now, what's the odds of you being successful in that strategy? Not very, very good. Does it mean the strategy doesn't work? It just means that your fear took precedence over your higher brain function. The part of your brain that says, oh, this right here makes sense, it's very logical, and so this deal right here works, I like doing these transactions right here. But the part of your brain that says, hey, I gotta do something that takes care of this fear right now will override that logical part. You follow me in this right here? That is one reason why I myself and the investors who I found to be very successful adapt a few different types of strategies. One strategy I've learned is called short money technique, another one called long money technique. Meaning that one technique or one type of investing will take care of that fear, that lower brain function. One part of that technique will allow you to eat, to clothe yourself. It may not bring you in a lot of money, but it may bring you in some type of consistent money on a regular basis. That's one reason why I encourage those who have jobs to not do things like Charles and I have done, which is just completely quit your job and then walk out. And just say, hey, what's he doing with that match? Oh, I think he's burning another bridge. this fool just won't stop. He's just burning all these bridges. I ain't coming back, you know. Exactly, you take this job, I don't want it. You ain't firing me, I'm firing you. You know, and you give me a 2-week notice, you know. I wouldn't suggest everyone do that, but there is a psychology behind that. We're going to talk about that another time. But what I'm saying is that create a strategy. I'm talking about what works. I've seen it on a much larger scale. On a much larger scale, I've seen it work where you use your job to support your other ambitions in real estate investing to make that bigger income, to replace that. It doesn't mean it's wrong because you have a job. It just means how do you make them work for you instead of you working for them? How do you make them support your dreams and your visions and your goals, right? While you work on something else. Many investors many people in general spend 40 hours a week plus working for someone else, not even 1 hour a week working for themselves, and wonder why their business is failing. The question is, if somebody worked for you and you put an hour in per week, would you pay them?
Yes.
I wouldn't pay them. What for? I wouldn't know if they came to work or didn't. So then why should you get a paycheck? This is very important to understand. Deal with the fear, and this is one thing to help you understand why you have to focus on a particular investment strategy. A lot of investors go from one strategy to the next strategy, because that lower brain function of fear is kicking in every time they go to do one technique that logically makes sense. We held a long discussion logically of why you can make money doing this investment strategy. You can win at this. But that other brain function says, I have to eat, will this give me money at the end of the month? Which one is going to win? Exactly, this is going to win. If you take care of this, then you can focus on this. It's very simple, but it's that 1 degree we talked about earlier. It's the very 1 degree difference between succeeding and failing. What I'm sharing with you is the blueprint on how to win at investing. Everything works. What we have to do is find out what works best for us. There's another doctor who's one of the most quoted psychologists named Dr. Cialdini, and he talks about the same thing I'm expressing with you now. How to get a yes response. How to get a yes response from yourself. How to understand the way you think and process things. Because that right there will determine how to figure out why you do what you do and how to alter it. You follow me in this? This is what I learned. I mean, when I started out in real estate investing, when I left my job working for the government, I worked for the White House and the Air Force Base. Once I left that right there, no one told me this stuff. They said, hey, you do this deal, you make a lot of money. They didn't tell me that the deal didn't come every 60 days, every 90 days. What have you been eating on for those first 90 days? And then you made that deal, then what does that check have to go and pay for? Yeah, I made $10,000, but guess what? If it costs you $5,000 to live, and you have it per month, and you haven't made anything in 90 days, you still $5,000 in the red. It doesn't matter. No, I don't know about you. That's not for me. I never go to another job, man. I never. I create jobs. But, I was going to eat. Oh, you don't want to eat. Oh, yeah, I get all upset, man. You know, when we go back to work, that gets me upset. Like a fake person, you don't even realize, man, you got on my bad side that quick. You didn't even know my good stuff all these years, and you just got put on the bad side. Yeah, like nothing even mattered. So, what I'm sharing with people now is important to understand this right here. I've worked with so many investors, and I'm just sharing with you my experience. I've talked to some of them, and they, hey, I did this technique, it didn't work. This technique didn't work. Every technique works, but it's that one function in the brain that needs to be taken care of right now. Does your technique match your current state? When you're setting out a goal or a plan for the year, understand that with it, does it match your current state? That's very, very, very important. Very important to understand. Companies use this. Companies use this when they do their marketing. Understand, deal with the fear. Deal with the fear in yourself, and deal with the fear when you communicate with others, okay? Now, externally, we're gonna talk about that. Externally, what's important, what's really, 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 really important to succeed in 2012 externally is a team. You have to have a team. Someone you can call for information. Whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, whether it's a mentor, whether it's somebody that you've been on Facebook, somebody, you have to have a team. And the team has to cause you to live up to a particular standard. Okay? Where being mediocre is not accepted. Follow me in this right here? The team has to be someone you can call on your phone. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Even if it's just, I guess I'll have to think about this. Sonya's called me a couple of times and we talked on the phone and he said, Kenny, I know you're busy, but I got to ask you for 5 minutes. And she said, I know you're busy, I know you got a lot going on. And when she say that, okay, I remember she respects time, so let's talk, what we got? And it may only take 5 or 10 minutes. But 5 or 10 minutes can save you 5 or 10 months if someone's sharing with you something that they've learned. You have to have a team. What's also very important is how do you see yourself? Think about this right here. One thing that's so important with all of us as we start this new year is how do you see yourself? Your personal identity. Without your personal identity, you will have what they call an identity crisis. And when you have an identity crisis, you get hospitalized. You cannot even function without your identity. That's the reason why boxers have these names, Iron this, you know, the Hitman this, because they want to live into an identity. When you're in a challenging situation, your identity is what's going to help you get through. How do you see yourself? Someone tell me what is their identity. How do you see yourself? Yes.
I am dependable.
I like that right there. The reason why I like that right there is because it was short, it was direct and to the point. And it doesn't always have to be, but what it is an affirmation that you speak about yourself, and when you speak things out, it makes you feel a certain way. You always say, and then it tells others about you as well. This is important. Somebody else, tell me an identity. Confident and compassionate. Say it again, please.
Confident and compassionate.
You are confident and compassionate. Exactly. Once again, you have that, write that on your goals. See that right there. Become that, because when times get hard, and they will, and believe me, yesterday for me was a day from HE double hockey sticks. But yet, at the end of the day, my own personal identity is what pulls you through, because no matter how hard you get hit, the way you see yourself is the way you begin to act. You say, you know what? I'm dependable, so I gotta carry through with this right here. Without that self-identity, you allow yourself to say, oh, well, hey, too bad for that person. Hey, tough. It ain't that, hey, you know, but the identity is what pulls you through. Somebody else, tell me an identity. Oh, I gotta say it again, please.
I am a fighter.
Write that on your goal. I am a fighter. When things hit you, and they will, because as soon as you choose to get out of your comfort zone, what's going to happen?
Fire.
Exactly. One more time.
Fire.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what's going to happen. You're going to end. Now, you may even be like Batman and see the words pop up. That means you really got hit pretty hard. Man, I'm seeing it. Like, boy, this is 3D, yo. When that happens right there, your identity is what's going to pull you through. Okay? Somebody else, tell me. What?
I'm resourceful.
You are resourceful. Exactly. That is very crucial because you're going to have to hit success with the tools that you have. Somebody else, tell me something.
Never quit.
Never quit. I like that one there myself. No matter what, the tenacity. Will not quit. Impossible to quit. Impossible to lose. Somebody else.
I am empowered.
You are empowered.
I thought you were the fighter.
She's an empowered fighter. I tell you what, if somebody's a fighter and he's empowered, I might just let him go with this one. You know, she might think, what? Oh, I'm going to show you a fighter. Yes, sir.
A winner never quits, a winner never wins.
Exactly. These right here are the things that, do you understand where I'm going at with this? Now, when I'm working with investors that are very successful,